One of the biggest themes in Inuyasha has to do with the idea of repetition and seeing similar events through different lenses. And this has led to one of the most common comments and theories that I've ever had people submit to me on my channel. And this is specifically around the idea of reincarnation. Similar to how Kagome is Kikyo's reincarnation, many people believe that Midoriko was also reincarnated as Kikyo. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about this theory, break it down, think about why people believe this, and whether I think it's true or not true. If there's another theory that you would like me to take a look at in the future, let me know, because these are kind of fun videos to do. I like these discussion things. Before we get into it though, if you do enjoy this video and want to see more content like this in the future, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos just about every single day. Also, this video got brought up because of a topic that was covered in episode 26 in my Inuyasha in Minutes series. This was the episode with Midoriko's cave and all that, which led into this topic. I recently released the entire first season of Inuyasha, cut down to 40 minutes. A lot of fun to make. A lot of work to make, but if you guys want to go check that out, I think you'll enjoy it. But with all of that being said, let's get into the video. So we need to discuss why people even bring up the topic of reincarnation, and this should be pretty straightforward for most people. In a very, very simplified way, Inuyasha is the story of, well, Inuyasha. And 50 years prior to his story with Kagome, he met and fell in love with a priestess named Kikyo. She was the guardian of a sacred jewel called the Shikon Jewel, and unfortunately, Inuyasha wasn't the only person who was in love with her. An evil man who was also obsessed with the Shikon Jewel, named Onigumo, also loved Kikyo and wanted to be with her. However, he had been burned and injured to the point where he couldn't move. Kikyo had nursed him back to the point where he was able to talk, but that's kind of the limit of what he could do. As such, he decided to more or less sell his soul and body to demons, hoping that if he merged with them, he would have a chance to actually be with Kikyo. He would have a new body that she would be able to fall in love with. Not only that, but these demons would help him gain the sacred jewel in the process. This didn't exactly go as planned though, as when the demons fused with his body, they formed the half-demon Midoriko, and all of the demons housed in this new body basically got together and said, hey, this human heart thing that this guy has, this could be an issue in the future. Maybe we kill Kikyo. So they make this extravagant plan to fool both Inuyasha and Kikyo, have them pit against each other, and they mortally wound Kikyo in the process. As Kikyo was about to die, she asked the villagers to do something for her. She wanted them to cremate both herself and the Shikon Jewel together so that she could carry it into the afterlife. However, she also made some wishes on the jewel. Firstly, wanting to have a normal life, because she had spent her entire life as a priestess, and as such she missed out on having a childhood and an adolescence. And secondly, she wanted to be with Inuyasha again, even if she kind of hated him but not really at the time. And all of that manifested in her soul's reincarnation as Kagome. Through this, she could experience life as a normal girl, as her spiritual powers were more or less suppressed by the spirit of the sacred jewel. Not only that, but she traveled back in time through the Bone Eater's Well and was reunited with Inuyasha and got to live out that life that Kikyo wanted. Finally, as the jewel had followed Kikyo into her new life, Kagome also brought the jewel back to the past and it was removed from her. So that's our basis for reincarnation, this short story with the sacred jewel, Kikyo, Inuyasha, Onigumo, and Kagome, this small contained story. However, that kind of gets a little bit complicated once we add in the story of Midoriko. Midoriko was this extremely powerful priestess, possibly the strongest ever. And much like Kikyo, a man who could not have her fell in love with her and decided to sell his body and soul to demons for a chance to be with her. Again, the demons took control of the body and attacked the priestess, and in this battle, one of their fangs pierced her, and with the last bit of strength that she had, she forced both her own soul and the demon soul out of her body, and they would come together to form the Shikon Jewel. Then, 550 years later, Naraku had all his stuff going on. He wanted to replace the original demon within the jewel, and he wanted Kagome to replace the original priestess. So you kind of see these very similar themes going all the way back from Midoriko and the unnamed man and those demons, to Kikyo, Inuyasha, and Onigumo, to Naraku, Kagome, and the sacred jewel in the future. So many people have made this connection that Midoriko, a powerful priestess who made the sacred jewel, had a man fall in love with her, and he merged with demons, leading to her being sealed and creating the Shikon Jewel. Then a powerful priestess named Kikyo falls in love with a half-demon while protecting that sacred jewel 500 years later. A man who falls in love with her again sells his soul to demons, leads to her death, and she wishes the jewel to follow her into the next life, sort of creating a Shikon Jewel in her own way, at least in the future if you're being a little bit lenient with your definitions there. And then you have Kagome, who again goes back to the past. When a demon bites into her, similar to how Midoriko and the big demon had, the jewel is pulled from her body. She finishes the life of Kikyo, being with Inuyasha, all that. And again, Naraku, this amalgam of monsters, wanted to join her inside the sacred jewel going forward. When laid out like that, I can totally see and understand why people might be able to connect those dots to say that Midoriko was reincarnated as Kikyo, who was reincarnated as Kagome. However, there are some issues in this story, and one of the big things comes from this idea of evidence that people put forward for this theory. That being that because Kikyo is a very powerful priestess, she must be the reincarnation of Midoriko, who was also a very powerful priestess. But like, there's a ton of very powerful priestesses, right? Hitomiko was said to rival Kikyo, Tsubaki was very close but not quite there. You had Kanade in one of the movies who also was kind of on that level. There's examples all throughout the story. It doesn't have to be Kikyo. And speaking of reincarnation, next is this idea that reincarnation is a core part to the world of Inuyasha. To a lot of people, it's this normal thing because our main character, Kagome, was a reincarnation. But, and let me just be very clear about this, if I ever hear that X character is Y character's reincarnation again, I will scream. There is only one case of reincarnation in the entirety of Inuyasha, and that is Kagome. She is the exception and not the rule. And that was only brought about by the inclusion of the sacred jewel, this mystical object. It's not like we see this happening really ever again. And admittedly, because the sacred jewel is what started that, yeah, Midoriko made the jewel, so it might be implied that she could do this too. But the jewel is the powers of both Midoriko and this demon kind of balancing themselves out in this physical form. So is it just Midoriko on her own who had enough power to do that, or Midoriko and the demons? There's kind of that question left in the open as well. Whatever, I could see the argument, that's fine. Everything up until now, while I might not agree with it, I could understand why people would think that way. What the biggest issue is, though, the nail in the coffin for this theory, is that it is actually 100% impossible for Kikyo to be Midoriko's reincarnation, because Midoriko was not really dead when Kikyo was born. And that's kind of important when we're talking about reincarnations. Midoriko never technically died. Her soul was sealed inside of the sacred jewel, where she continued to battle the amalgamation of demons that had fought her. So just like Inuyasha wouldn't have been able to be reincarnated while he was sealed to the tree, Midoriko wouldn't be able to be reincarnated while her soul was sealed inside the jewel. It just wouldn't make sense. The soul is still in a physical place, it cannot be in someone else's body. It has never moved on to the afterlife, there's been no closure for that soul, it is still stuck on Earth in that jewel. So I would say it's pretty much impossible for this theory to be true, but it's fun either way. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as well as any other theories you want me to take a look at, because this was fun. If you did enjoy this video and want to see more in the future, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content coming forward. And you can also check out that Inuyasha Season 1 in 40 minutes video, I think you'll really enjoy it. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to our patrons, with our Dai Yokai, Bloodwolfmon, Iffy Babes, Ikerochu, and Jacob Wiley, our Yokai Amelia Hellman, NL Cruz, Janice Not Janice, Joker Rose, and our Yokai, Anthony Hogan, Brittany K, Kiwi Dog, Love the Kiwi, Michael Grayco, Mochi Num Num, Morrigan E. Wolf, Nega Kitty, Savage Camel, Simon Electric, Suki Neko, and Ziv. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.